Hello, Earthlings. Welcome to another Animal Rights Show. You're welcome along.
Welcome.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
I've got a weird thing. I'm looking at my monitor and it says live in 18 minutes. I don't know why
Oh.
that has
Oh,
happened.
It says
that's
live
strange.
in mine. So.
I think we're live.
Yeah, let me
Everyone hear us?
refresh that because
Everyone's saying hello.
yeah, I think we're okay. Weird. Okay, I'll do my usual housekeeping, I call it. So this is going out to 3 places, as we all know, and 2 of them are YouTube channels. Facebook channels. So if you want to engage in the best chat, then it's my YouTube channel that is the best for that. And then chat away. We don't charge people to get their opinions on the screen on the grounds that we're in a social movement and not a business. So that's
Missing a trick there. Missing a trick.
that's our attitude. Yeah, we could bleed these people dry, couldn't we?
I know.
No, yeah. Right, intros.
Intro.
You want to do it?
Go ahead, Dot. You do it.
Okay. So Deb was first. So welcome, Deb. I'm just trying to think if you ever missed a show, which is interesting. Jennifer was next. Hello. And then Philip from Wendy.
New York.
Carolyn is here from Canada. Lorraine, Edie, is it Edie? And Amelia Lees, who's been a guest of ours on 2 occasions, and Kate J so far. So welcome along, everybody. So this is one of those kind of rare shows, really, isn't it? That we don't have a guest panelist. It's just we 3.
Musketeers.
The 3 musketeers.
Musketeers.
Yes. All right. Now we just got to pretend that we have got a show lined up, I suppose.
Lorraine says yes, Edie. You said it right.
Good. Right. Excellent. And there's Joanna just popping in. Hello,
Here.
Joanna. Oh, I forgot to do that thing about. Joanna wanted me to do something technical in order for her to have full access to something, but I forgot to do it. So apologies for that. So are we going to start off with my little thing that we've that I mentioned? My bit of that. I had a couple of days off. We went to a place called Kilkenny. It's very touristy, and the shops are very kind of old-fashioned, which I suppose is really attractive for the US tourists, And one of them was an ice cream parlor, and we were watching, parents and kids getting ice creams and stuff. Completely innocent scene from their point of view, not so much obviously from a vegan point of view. So I thought I'd do a bit of outreach, which I've done before, but not recently, which was to go up to them and ask them if they, get a lot of requests for vegan options nowadays. So I said, "Oh, this is like going back in time," and she says, "Yeah." And I said, in this day and age, do you get a lot of requests about vegan options, just asking if you've got them or what? And she says, "No." I said, "What? Never?" She said, "No, never had a request." And I was a bit taken aback, actually, because I was expecting her to say, "Well, yeah, but not very often." That's what I was expecting her to say, but she said none at all, right? So two things seem to emerge from that. The first one being is that a lot of activists are suggesting that people can no longer claim to be innocent of all the various ways that humans use our fellow animals. And I don't think that's true, because, I don't think these people in this square have the slightest idea there was a potential issue or anything, you know. And I just don't think that they knew what they were doing, as it were, from a vegan point of view, you know. So I think that's the first point. And then the second one is when I expected her to say yes, but not many requests. And in some ways, it's a little bit like, you know, when you have to pay extra for the plant milk in cafes and stuff. I can kind of understand that, because if somebody asks for plant milk and then they open a carton, and then they don't get any other requests for the rest of the day and maybe the day after, they've got to throw it away. So it's actually quite expensive for them to cater for vegans. And I think it would also be the case if they were making a batch of vegan ice cream and just nobody turned up that day, then what they're going to do.
Do you know why this surprises me more so is less from the vegan angle, but more from the lactose intolerant angle, because I think more and more people today are so-called lactose intolerant, and so there are usually options for those people. And even in places like Italy, which I think is probably even less vegan friendly than Ireland, I'm sure they often have plant-based options for ice cream for particularly for that reason, for lactose intolerance. So it surprises me on that level.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, actually. It's true, isn't it? Because I suppose people who well, do you think there's a lot of people who are lactose intolerant and they kind of don't know, and so they just feel uncomfortable after consuming dairy?
I believe so. I believe there are some people who really would be quite ill, like more of an allergy or a reaction. But I think there are some people who are more on a low level intolerance, but might not even realize it would be coming from so-called dairy. I think my mom's one of those people, actually. She used to always suffer with like sinus problems and stomach problems and things like that. And I think it's probably more common, and I think definitely in other cultures, even more so. Like in Asian cultures, I think much more so.
Yeah, I think that's right, and probably most doctors probably wouldn't be able to diagnose a lactose intolerance problem when you think about it. It's just a thought.
But it is upsetting that they don't get us, unless I think I can imagine it from an old school vegan point of view, in terms of, I think as an old school vegan, like being vegan like 26 plus years or whatever, you kind of almost, things like ice cream, cheese, all those things went off the radar for me. It was like, oh, I just don't eat those things now. So I wouldn't even think of going into an ice cream place and going, oh, have you got vegan options? Even now, when I find there are sort of vegan friendly alternatives to things like ice creams, I'm always a bit like, really? It still surprises me to this day. But maybe on that level I can understand it. But I think for newer vegans who are more used to being catered for, that would be probably quite surprising to them, I think. Especially vegans who live in London, because I think here in London you can go most places and they will at least have some kind of alternative, a plant alternative. But
these things went off the radar for me too, Wendy. But because I love ice cream, I'm always trying to find, from the moment I realized that there is vegan ice cream. But the situation here is like the one Roger described. You could find sorbet, maybe, but you could find that even 20 years ago. They do not cater to vegans. They just have sorbets. There are a few vegan ice cream parlors, though, with, good quality traditional ice cream, but vegan. But in the conventional ice cream parlors, you won't find any vegan creamy ice cream like the one. Who said about Italy? Oh, sorry, I have a really bad headache today. And
oh yeah, that was yeah.
Emilia's comment about Italy, which is like the ice cream country, of course, one of the many lovely aspects of Italy. Yeah, and there are more, brands of the supermarket selling vegan ice cream now. But that's all.
Just go back to Emmy, thanks for that, because it might have changed since it's for a long time since I went there, but I was I think it was in Sicily at the time, and where I was staying at the time was quite unaware, very not vegan friendly, but it might well have changed, because I used to live in France years and years ago, and Paris was very vegan friendly, but again, that's probably shifted now. I think things have shifted in the last few years, probably more so, but I haven't been flying for a long time, so yeah, but good to know, though. Great to know that is true. That it is more vegan friendly. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was thinking of it as a form of outreach, but this comment from Carolyn is interesting. This came up on the TikTok show last night about the fact that I think in the vegan world we probably overestimate how much stuff, vegan related stuff, is going on. Whereas I think for your average person within cultural speciesism, they might go weeks without hearing even the name, let alone the problem of understanding what it means, because I was thinking about the fact that it's quite prevalent now to get vegan labels on products, but I wonder if people actually take it in. I wonder whether they register that they're buying a vegan product. It'd be an interesting one from an advertising promotional point of view.
I think it works both ways, that vegan label, because I think some people see the vegan label and think, oh, this is going to be healthy, because they associate, because of all the marketing around veganism, it's like vegan for health. People associate that vegan label with this must be a good thing, it's a positive product for me, so it's going to be healthy. But I think on the other side of that, some people see vegan and go, oh, I'm not going to touch that. I had a client of mine recently brought me a plant cheese because she bought it by mistake. And so rather than try it and go, oh, I'll see what this is like, it was like, oh, no, I'm not going to eat that. Would you like it? So I think it can, depending on who's reading that label, can have different effects.
Yeah, Ronnie said last night that some people see the word vegan and think, oh, there must be something missing in that.
Yeah, something wrong with it. It won't taste nice. Something missing. Yeah.
But I think this idea of going in and asking that question is a form of outreach, because it's associated with supply and demand, of course. Like you've got well, in you, Wendy, you've got Greggs, right? Famously, the sausage roll and everything. And in Ireland, we've got something called Apple Green. And Apple Green, the big ones, this is a petrol station. They have something called Bakewell, and if there's a Bakewell, then they do a vegan sausage roll, right? And so what I sometimes do is go in and just ask them, how is your vegan sausage roll going, right? Just to kind of get them to think about it, and that somebody's taken interest in it and this kind of stuff. Because we went when they first came out in Ireland, we went driving around Greater Dublin, looking for them and everything and asking questions. And there was one person who said that there was a building site just up the road, and all the builders have switched to the vegan one because it's better than the flesh one. It's kind of, it's bulkier, it fills you up more and this kind of stuff. So that was a bit of good news. So I definitely think it's a kind of form of outreach, really, asking, oh, do you do, because you're almost like doing it as a marketing thing. You're not actually saying, I want something, you're just asking them, yeah.
That reminds me, actually, there used to be, and I can't remember who did this. This was years ago, but there was an organisation, and they sent cards out, and it was basically, you'd go to a restaurant or wherever, and if they didn't have a vegan friendly option, you would leave them a card to say why you didn't eat there, and to say, I'm a vegan, you didn't cater for me, and you'd like leave.
That's right. Yeah, you just leave it on the table, don't you?
Yeah, leave it on the table, or give it to a waiter or whatever, and just say, yeah, I'm really sorry, you couldn't cater. So then you've kind of, again, it's like you're saying, a form of outreach. You've made them aware.
You
Yeah.
remind me of a dear friend and an activist I admire, Sotiris, and he used to turn every aspect of his everyday life to, he still does actually, to outreach. And wherever he was, even in a holiday vacation, wherever, he would go to all the restaurants or ice cream parlors or cafeterias in the waterfront, for example, and ask for vegan stuff. But he would use this as an opening to talk about other animals briefly, but he would say something like, please consider to have some options because there are people that care about this and this and this, and he would center our fellow animals during that. So it wouldn't be about not them, it wouldn't be about them failing to cater to him, but an opportunity to talk about veganism. I don't know if it was successful. He would ask other vegans to do it in the area.
You're not kind of telling them off. You can say, well, in case you haven't thought about this kind of thing.
Yes, something like that. Very politely, very, casually, he would talk about other animals.
Yeah, it's good.
Just going back to what V said, Magnum vegan classics are not sold individually. You have to buy a box of 3. So Jennifer would hate that. Jennifer doesn't like ice cream.
Well, the issue for me and Wendy is that they're made by Unilever.
Yeah. I know. I don't really buy ice creams anyway. I just forget that I can eat some of them. But yeah, Unilever.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I know a couple of supermarkets, and I just know where all the vegan stuff is, and I just almost like slalom past everything else.
Yeah, you just kind of shut things out and just make your own little way. Yeah, your little route. Avoid all the horror.
I'm really bad at just slowly walking through and seeing if there's anything new or anything. My attitude is get in, get your stuff, and get out. That's shopping as far as I'm concerned. So.
What does Emmy say here? Sorry, Emmy, I'm just trying to bring this up. Totally agree about going in and asking. I did that when I was home in Naples. I went to the local cafe one morning and asked about vegan cornetto, a croissant, and they had already run out. Popular then, vegan cornetto.
Yeah, well, that was the case with the apple green vegan sausage roll. They often ran out before the flesh ones. So again, interesting, isn't it? It's almost like we're getting mixed signals, about the popularity. Veganism puts you off. There is some market research. I think Tim Barford from VegFest was talking about it, but I think the results are very mixed. For some people, veganism puts them off, like you were saying, Wendy. Other people don't even seem to notice if the label's there, and other people are kind of attracted to it again, maybe for the reason that you said. So I think, and so I think they've experimented in taking down the vegan labels and putting plant-based instead. And I think they've gone back because it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. But it's like Emmy was saying in one of the messages earlier about Italy and the traditional food is like most of the traditional food in Italy is vegan friendly, but people don't realize it because it's just whole food plants, isn't it? And that's the thing with when you talk to people about vegan friendly food. Oh no, I don't eat vegan food. It's like, well, you do. You eat fruit, you eat vegetables, you eat grains, you eat legumes, you eat salads, you eat. It's just that it hasn't got a label on it. It's a different mentality, isn't it, to think of it like that? And people only think of products being vegan friendly rather than actual just food. Plant food.
That reminds me of my prison story that I've probably told far too many times. About the guy who was in the cell with me, and he was having a go at veganism, and he was one of these guys who were institutionalized. And he would even do things like smash a window at Christmas time in order to make sure he's in prison during the break, because he couldn't really cope with the outside world as much as being in prison, So he used to have the same breakfast every morning. He would have porridge made with water, dry toast, something like some jam or marmalade or something like that. And so he was having a go at veganism. And I said, well, you're eating a vegan breakfast. And he was almost sick. It was really weird. I just think, you've had that breakfast for years, mate. And now suddenly you put the label vegan on it, and it's weird. Yeah.
Very, very weird. Very weird. Those were the days, eh, Doc? Those were the days.
Yeah. I can't wait to get back in time. Yeah. Just so I can do a bit more vegan education.
My go-to phrase at the end of those conversations, because I come across people that say, no, I'm gonna try it, it's vegan, it's bound to be too healthy, tasteless, blah blah blah, or people that are going to say, oh, this is nothing natural in it. I mean, if there's not milk in it, how they made it's like it's bound to be unhealthy. And my go-to phrase at the end of this conversation is, does it really matter if you if you don't find an ice cream or a cheese or whatever that you like, and you have so many options, you are bound to find one. But even if you don't, does it really matter? Is it that important when you have to contradict this inability to eat something you love with the freedom of another sentient being? And I don't get many answers. I get these blank stares, but they go on consuming.
Yeah. You can. It's that thing, isn't it, of everyone when they first become vegan, Nella, that everyone immediately thinks like, when I just tell people the truth and what happens, they'll change. I know they will. And it's the most demoralizing thing when you start to realize people aren't changing anytime soon, and it's really challenging. What's your t-shirt say, by the way? And I can just see the animals at the top.
The animals. We are their greatest hope. But sorry, we're their greatest threat, but only hope. This was said by a British activist, actually, and her name is Moin Hippie.
Yeah, I like that one, because the animals only people keep saying to me, we oppress our fellow animals, and I always say, well, of course we do. We are terrible oppressors of our fellow animals, but we're also their liberators. And like Leslie Cross said, we're on the side of the liberators. And so, because this is the danger of becoming feeling hatred towards humans and humanity. Now, everybody can sympathize with why you might, you come across something, comes up on your feed, you see something in the news, kind of thing, and all that. But we are their liberators. Our fellow animals do not organize themselves into social movements. We do that. So that's the sentiment of the shirt. So I like that.
I think she said that after a Meet the Victims event. I think she said that then. That's true. Of course, animals liberate themselves, and they are trying every day to. But what you say is true, Roger. The social movement for their liberation is completely human.
Yeah, but also, we do celebrate when
yes,
individual liberates themselves, but it's a very rare occasion when you think about it. We've all seen the pictures of a pig or a cow leaping off a transportation lorry and all that, but it doesn't happen very often, sadly. It'd be great if it did. Every time they pull up at a traffic light, the place empties. That'd be brilliant, but it doesn't happen. So.
Yeah, we have to be their allies, and therefore, we need to be inclusive of humans who are allies. I think we need to do a whole show on this, because I think it's a big topic that's in the movement at the moment, and I think it would be good for us to really explore it and to explore, because I think terms get bandied around, not to go into it too much now, but I think terms like intersectional get bandied around without really explaining what is actually meant by that from both sides. I don't really believe there are sides. I think we just polarize everything in this patriarchal society and culture that we have. But I think it would be good to really explore from, like, what do we actually mean? What are our values? What do we believe? And then put the record straight in some cases, because I think, like you were saying, Roger, sometimes that there are problems being talked about that are non-problems. They don't really exist, and people are making constant memes and posts and messages about a problem that doesn't really exist. So I think that this would be good to, like, really explore thoroughly. I feel.
Indeed. Well, for another time then. Should we move on to this Billie Eilish thing?
Yeah, is it Eilish or Eilish? I've got a feeling it might be
know.
Eilish. I think it might be Eilish.
Well, ahead of the show, I listened to a couple of her songs that I'd never heard of her before. So, and then I saw an interview, and apparently she's just got a new platinum record or something, because she still put disc out. And
she's quite a big name.
Yeah. So that was weird.
But yeah, this article actually ties in really well with what we were talking about kind of vegan so-called products and outreach and how vegans are perceived and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and your first comment when we were trying to set this up was it seems so dated, doesn't it? The way that it's written, you know.
Yeah, I found this report quite lazy, quite cliched, quite just old. Like nothing new, nothing really that, you know. I can't even say the word revealing or anything, you know, nothing new. But it's just good to see what's out there, because this was literally from a few days ago. So it's current.
Yeah, it was, 26. I mean, that's 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's from the Spectator Life and Katie Glass. So we can smash her arguments to pieces, Wendy.
Let's shatter them.
Yeah.
You say glass, I say glass. Some people say glass. Glass.
You say vase or vase?
Vase.
Vase, yeah.
Vase. Do you say vase?
Yeah. Well, we're both Northerners really at heart, aren't we? So.
We are both Northerners.
Not like those soft Southern, bees. So this is about a complaint that Billie Eilish had kind of forced people to go plant-based during a show, and this brings up the interesting thing. We talk about a show. I mean, how long can a show be? 47 hours. I mean, it's not good. I mean, it's going to be what, 3 hours max? And they can't get their hands on flesh for the duration of a show. I mean, that's so weird, isn't it? That it's so. I think it goes back to what we were saying before about the consumerism thing. If there's something, like Nella was saying, well, if you can't get it, does it really kind of matter? But I think in a consumerist society, we're used to everything just being on tap. It's almost like, I think that's why people panic buy as soon as there's any threat to anything. Yeah,
and also an entitlement as well. There's almost an entitlement to, like, I'm entitled to this, and I need it and I want it, and therefore I deserve it and I should have it. And it's all of that, isn't it, really, in a way? But what I found really interesting there is how immediately she talks about this irritations of veganism, and she forced the O2 to go plant-based. The O2 tried their hardest not to, but she forced them to do it. It's like, come on.
Well, anybody watching, if you expect her to get a little bit better, she doesn't. She gets worse.
You're going to love this one, folks. Carolyn's read this already. She said she read it and it's ridiculous and anti-vegan. Carolyn couldn't agree more. But I think people are just going to love this. They're going to, if you've got any rage to get out, get a cushion, get your dartboard out with a picture of Katie Glass and fill your boots.
Katie Glass.
Katie Glass.
Right. Eilish. Okay. Thanks, Joanna. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, as people know probably.
Even people on this show.
I know. Yeah. I get nobody's name right.
What did you used to call me? McGowan, Wendy McGowan. I think you used to call me for a while.
That was one time. Come on. That was only. I mean, that must have been about 9 years ago. You talk about never forgetting.
I channel elephants with long memories.
Well, I was going to say that. So anyway, the Daily Mail has reported that fans weren't happy. One said punters were less than impressed with the vegan options, a mixture of pizzas, cauliflower bits, and loaded fries. So I suppose putting it that way, it doesn't sound that great. Cauliflower bits.
I've got a feeling that's meant to say bites. I've got a feeling it's cauliflower bites, not bits. But there you go. But this is from the Daily Fail. Come on.
Yeah,
not the overall article, but that quote is from the Daily Fail.
Yeah. Oh, you reckon that's a typo then?
I'm not 100% sure, but I imagine they're called cauliflower bites rather than bits. It could be bits, but I just would imagine it would be bites.
I think that all this reflects, this kind of thinking that maybe we could cater for vegans, but we won't accept for vegans to have to take our options away. We need to have choice, and that's what happens amongst friends sometimes too, or organizations or groups when some people are vegans and some others are not. They are okay to provide some vegan options, but if you have only vegan options, then it becomes a problem for them, not because they cannot eat them, because usually the vegan dish is the one that that everyone eats, but it's the notion of having only vegan food. That sets them off.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Nella, because it's true, isn't it? If you go somewhere and you get a vegan option and everyone else, all the omnivores have got like 3/4 of the table and you've got this tiny little section, all the vegan stuff's gone before you get a chance to have it. And you're like, what happened to the vegan friendly food? So yeah, I think you're right there.
It used to happen at my university when we had staff meetings. I think I've said before that all the vegan stuff was the first thing to go. And so I would arrive and there'd be nothing. And so they ended up then writing vegan on it. And then when that didn't work, they put Rogers. Leave the poor vegan alone. Give him something to eat, So, so they're using irritation again. And then the usual kind of cliche now about vegan only options shoved down their throats.
Oh,
Right? They don't have to eat it, presumably. Is Billie Eilish going around kind of, with a spatula kind of, I mean, shoved down the throat.
Oh, sorry, that really tickled me. If only. Eat these cauliflower bits, you bugger.
Yeah, eat your bits and shut
don't.
up. Okay, so what's annoying about veganism? So this isn't interesting because it's fashionable. So that's what's annoying about it.
And she's knocking Neil in the young ones. I mean, come on. You can't knock the young ones' characters. Like, they are brilliant. Neil is brilliant. He's a classic. So if you're going to slag vegans off, don't choose Neil. He's great.
Yeah. Vegetable rights, man.
But yeah, now it's pleather trousers, asymmetric pink hair, drinking plant-based cocktails. Sounds like all of us, doesn't it?
I mean that just describes me to a T. That.
And also, people get angry when they realize that that veganism is a part of an identity. And sometimes when they ask me, and even people that know me really well, do you identify as a vegan? It's part of your identity. I say, of course it is, because it's not about food, it's about all this stuff. For some reasons, they get angry. Actually, yesterday, a colleague told me that he doesn't mind, but he finds it absurd that if we order coffee from a coffee shop, and in the order there is cow's milk, I won't pick it up. I refuse to go to the shop and pick it up for everyone. And he keeps repeating that. It's something that becomes a conversation topic again and again. And as many times as I say to him, I didn't take it from your hands. I didn't throw it away. I just don't want to enable you. I'm not going to normalize that, and this is my prerogative. It's my right not to go to the coffee shop and bring back coffee for everyone. They cannot accept it. They cannot. I think that it functions as a kind of reminder for them. Every time I won't go to pick it up, it's in their minds. They hear you are still oppressing other animals. You're still oppressing cows.
Yeah.
It's that sanctimonious charge, isn't it? Being charged with being sanctimonious, which I think actually she might even use that word in this article. So I think and it's like, oh, you're being a preachy vegan, and reminding me deep down of my, basically making them out to be wrong, isn't it?
I remember a very early, I think it must have been 2001 maybe, thing in Animals and Society, a journal. And there was two things in it. One where a vegan teenager, I think, was at the family Thanksgiving thing. And the mother kind of pulled her out and said, look, don't say anything during the meal about veganism, especially not with your grandmom here or something. And then in the end she did, and so her mother kind of hit the roof and kind of dragged her off and said, I told you not to do that. This is Thanksgiving, you're supposed to be thankful. And she said, yeah, well, I am. I'm thankful I'm not a turkey. And there was another one where some people went to a dinner, and they knew that they were vegetarians. They weren't vegan, they were vegetarians. But before they sat down, the father figure said to the guests, if the kid asks you any questions about your meal, please don't answer them. Don't answer him. Don't tell him why you're not eating flesh, because I don't want you to get him thinking. That's what he said,
Wow.
So that's the problem with all of this, is the fact that that all these cultural speciesists are going to have to think about veganism for a few seconds, while we're at this concert. So I mean, that's kind of breaking the rules. Don't make me think that my badge, I got a badge, think, well, it's still legal.
Yeah. And it's like Deb says, it's always the vegans who are seen as unreasonable. And Emmy says just no one wants to be discomforted. And I think it is that as well, isn't it? But also it's just that sense that they always say it's the vegan, you're forcing your views on them. They always say that you're forcing your views on me. And I think they really do believe that. Even though, the ubiquitousness of speciesism around is almost imperceptible because it's so normalized. And yet you put one sort of vegan friendly advert on the telly, which happened a few years ago with a girl refusing to consume dead animals, and it caused an outrage and an uproar, because how dare you put these vegan adverts on, you're forcing your views down our throats. And it's like, hang on, have you seen the world we're living in? Have you? And it's people just don't notice. It's so normal to them, like the fish in the water.
Oh yes, I witnessed an absurd thing the other day. I was at the first aid station after the wildfires, and the fire victims kept coming, and different species, cats, dogs, goats, hens, and it was late at night. Everyone was treated. People were tired, and someone thought to order and send pizzas to the volunteers to thank them. Someone from the broader area affected by the fire. So the pizzas coming, and of course are not vegan pizzas. And people are eating. Vegans, we were the minority, of course, were standing at the side, and then a person is holding a slice of pizza and they are about to bite, and this vegan girl says, "Oh, so when they are cooked, it doesn't matter because that person had done so much that day to rescue fellow animals, and then at the end of the night, he was very willing to eat them." And the moment she says that, I mean, I could see, I was looking at his face and he was shocked, and he said, oh my God, why are you saying that? And she goes, "Am I not right?" And he said, "Yes, you are," but he kept on eating. So you had the pizza with the pig, and then the goats, like 10 feet away, the goats that were rescued by the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And this was mind-blowing, because I get it when these are people that they don't come in contact with this species, but for people who actually rescue this species, for me it's unthinkable.
Yeah, it's that inconsistency, isn't it? That it's really troublesome. But actually, I think, and I was thinking about this the other day, and actually something that John Sanbon Matsu mentions in his book, The Omnivore's Deception, is how banal the oppression is and how ordinary, and it's the ordinariness of it that makes it it's just, as I think of it, business as usual. It's just what people do, what they've always done. It's what we do. And it's just followed in a rote fashion. Like there isn't any thinking about it. So it's like putting a box, isn't it? It's like putting a compartmentalized, so they don't have to think around, so they can easily go and put their lives at risk to rescue someone whilst eating someone else. And that seems completely acceptable and completely normal. To us, it doesn't, but to them, it totally does. And because it's in the ordinariness of the usual habitual practice of the oppression, I think it's just almost ingrained.
I had a blog series which I just called Easygoing Speciesism, because sociologically that makes it very powerful, the fact that it is easygoing. It's like Trump. He's an easygoing racist. It's just him. It just comes out of him in the same way he's an easygoing sexist, even sexual predator, even. And so it's all very kind of easygoing. But I think I would push back sociologically on the thing about inconsistent, because I don't think it is inconsistent. In the same way as this kind of thing about cognitive dissonance doesn't really describe what's happening. It's because people orient towards our fellow animals in a functional way, and so they've got in their head, what are they for? And which is why they challenge vegans. So if we're not going to eat them, and that's what they're for, what we're going to do with them, and that actually comes up in this article.
In this article, yeah, it does.
That's right. So they think about it in functional terms. So in Greece, probably goats are associated with goat's milk rather than goat's flesh, whereas
no, they are associated with Sunday, traditionally with Sunday meals, or with Easter.
Right. Okay. So so it's not as though I was just wondering whether the function bit was, because we do orient very strongly to the function of them, and people are forever talking to vegans about, well, what are our fellow animals for? And as V said, dogs, cats are privileged species, but they're still got a function. Pets' function is to
Yeah,
be
that's still a
petted.
function. Yeah.
And
Also different in different cultures as well. In some cultures, dogs and cats are consumed. In some, and they're still, dogs are still, and cats are still used as test subjects, so they can cross categorizations as well, can't they?
Yeah.
And I think as well as the category and the function, there is the context as well. Like, what context are we in? We're in a context where I can see an individual. And I think it comes down to that proximity as well. Like, when we see an individual, same as the individuals who liberate themselves, the ones that jump off their slaughter trucks and suddenly the public are, there's an escapee. Wow, let them go to sanctuary. When people get close, in maybe not physically close, but in some way they get closer and they see an individual, somehow that individual, they can have some kind of empathy. But when the individual is not an individual, when they're a product or they're hidden away or they're just, in that category of flesh, it's a different way of thinking about them. I think that plays in.
Yes, indeed. Should we move on, do you think? Right. So, or perhaps it's that the advantages of veganism are debatable. Although vegans claim it's healthier, anybody who's actually seen what eat knows that the
Lorraine, get your cushion.
of their diet is chips. So we've obviously got first of all, the first thing they do is go for diet, and then you've got this outrageous thing about the staple is chips. I mean, I wonder where they got that from.
It's yeah.
You order your chip and your cocktail at the same time, do you?
Yes, with your pink hair.
Yeah. Weird, isn't
and
it?
you leather trousers on.
A study this year by New Zealand Massey University found that half of vegans were deprived of 2 specific amino acids, leaving them at risk of muscle wastage. So I'm not quite sure if anybody's familiar with that study.
I've come across, I'm not that study, but I have come across talk of 2 particular amino acids that are not as easily found in plant foods, but I think overall it doesn't always affect the overall consumption of proteins. And I don't know very specifically if they are connected to muscle wastage or not, those particular 2. And I think you can also find them in vegan products, because I was checking some of the stuff that I've got in my cupboards earlier, and I thought it was lysine and what's the other one? Thea something. Sorry, I can't quite remember it. But it was those 2 I think they're talking about. I don't know this particular study.
Yeah.
Carolyn is saying that study was misrepresented by the mainstream media. Unsurprising.
Well, they often are. I mean, if you read studies, actually go to the link, they often say the opposite of what the media say that they said. Yeah.
And often some of these studies are actually funded by the industry as well. That's another thing that's come to light a lot with these studies, especially about so-called meat and dairy, is it's the industry that funds them.
The language.
No conflict of interest there then.
Of is interesting, isn't it? Deprived of. So, I mean, it almost suggests that those things cannot be got at all, right? So again, the language is very specific, the way that she's written it. And you've got about the plant milks, not nutritionally equivalent to cow milk. And then the thing about the under 5s.
Yeah. And I mean, there are so many other studies that say the opposite of this, aren't there? That actually a whole food plant-based diet is sufficient for any stage of life. And also, if we're talking about nutritionally equivalent, let's not forget that cow's milk is actually for a growing calf. Like, why would we want to eat something nutritionally equivalent to that? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And you know what's really annoying about these kind of comments as well about the nutritional value, that vegans are lacking this, deprived this, is that they're just taking that totally out of context. And if you take any omnivore and their nutritional intake, and what are they lacking? Are they eating enough fiber? Are they getting enough of this, enough vitamins and all this kind of stuff? Are they getting enough plants? We're supposed to probably potentially eat 30 plus plants, different varieties for the best health. A lot of studies are showing now. Are they eating enough plants? But they don't focus on that, just on what vegans are lacking.
I've seen the comment about
and no one thinks of humans as mammals, because if they would, they would think that other mammals, they have their mother's milk for a short period and that's it, and they do not need any kind of milk later. So when I hear stuff like that, my go-to phrase is like, we are mammals. We need our mother's milk for a while, and that's it. We don't need some huge dairy company providing milk, for all humanity to the end of our lives. I mean, this is absurd. Is it possible for us to be the only mammal, the only species that need milk after infancy? And
yeah. The client that I don't know if I said this on the show or to you too before we went on, but about the client who gave me the cheese, the vegan, the plant-based cheese. Because I said something very similar to her actually about, isn't it strange how we're the only mammals to continue drinking milk, and we're not weaned. Oh yes, but we need calcium. I think one of the answers was that we need calcium actually. So that there's a lot of marketing that's gone into all these, into all this oppression, isn't there? That we actually need calcium. And I remember in the UK as a small child, they used to actually start making us drink milk at school, and I never drank it. I absolutely I hated it. I couldn't bear it. But it used to be part of our day when really young kids, they'd bring us like a small bottle of milk around in order to build our strong bones and to give us calcium. So that has been really driven into people how important it is for our health and bone health, especially in calcium and all of that.
In the little bottles, weren't they? Little diddy bottles, yeah. And,
with the cream on the top.
Yeah, because Margaret Thatcher was the health minister and she abolished that. And so she got this thing about Thatcher, milk snatcher.
Milk snatcher, that's it.
That's right, yeah. So part of this little section is probably right about all this, these companies pumping out vegan-friendly products. Because, I mean, obviously, apart from the ones who are run by vegans, these people are just doing it because they want to exploit a niche market or a market that is big enough for them to, to take an interest in. So I think there is something on that. But then this journalist is almost starting to kind of suggest that that's virtually the only thing that vegans eat is kind of vegan junk food, which obviously is totally wrong. Although I think some of the influencers in our movement really do push vegan junk food all the time, don't they? So, maybe that comes from that kind of thing. Yeah.
And you know what? It's very disingenuous because you're talking about vegans being unhealthy and aging, not aging as well as as omnivores. Like they're saying vegetarians, actually not vegans, vegetarians aging less healthily. But again, it's very out of context. We don't know what or who the omnivores are eating. We don't know what or who the vegetarians are eating. We don't know because if you compare a vegetarian junk food diet, a vegan junk food diet, and an omnivore junk food diet, I'm sure they pretty much, if you're going to eat junk, you're eating junk, whether it's animal free or it's not. It's just a junk food diet or a highly ultra processed diet, isn't it? And I'm sure that's not good for anyone's health. So again, it's just kind of cherry picking these things to really slam down on animal-free food. But yeah, junk food is junk food.
This journalist is not going to cherry pick. It's too vegan for her. But also the fact that they're doing that usual thing of conflating vegetarians and vegans, because one thing that would ring my bell about that thing, about the China thing, is the fact that maybe the problem, if it's even true, is the fact that elderly vegetarians eat a lot of dairy, ironically.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that could be, and eggs and stuff. So
yeah, very true. And Emmy said about the study as well, a study in China. Again, I bet she's not referring to the two China study. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think something like John Robbins' Diet for a New America would have said the complete opposite to that. So it's here that Greggs has dropped their vegan steak bake. I don't know if that's true. I don't think I'm familiar with that at all. And Quorn abandoned its veggie bake. Now, again, that Quorn reference could be a vegetarian thing, couldn't it? Because that was the controversy with Quorn, that when Quorn started, most of it wasn't vegan. Because
that's right.
The process, they use eggs in virtually all of them, and then they start to introduce vegan things. I don't even know now whether the Quorn range is completely, free of products derived from our fellow animals or not. I'm not sure about that.
No, I don't know. I'm not. I don't think it is actually, but I don't really eat that, so I don't know.
It used to be that I do remember that there was only a couple of things.
Yeah, only used to be a couple. Yeah,
that was vegan. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Right. So got the environmental bit coming up.
Dubious. More. Oh, let's see what she's got to say about the environment then. Go, Katie Glass. Angry lentil of a former lodger. She's pulling out all the stops, like Katie. She's pulling them all out.
What's that supposed to mean? The angry lentil.
It's an angry lentil of a lodger.
So this is the myth about the food miles thing, and of course the truth is about food miles, is that food miles doesn't actually have a massive environmental impact because of the size of the transportation. You've actually got millions of units on one boat, right? And so I do believe that it's probably the other way around, and of course you've got the Piers Morgan thing about the almond milk, of course, brought from California, killing all the bees, and again, surveys have said that most vegans don't particularly go for almond milk. It's still soya and oat milk are the two ones. So almond milk is quite low down. And I think one reason is the fact that it uses a lot of water to create almond milk, whereas it doesn't with soya or oat.
I think, and please, someone in the chat, correct me if I'm mistaken about this, but from what I read a while ago, even all plant milks, even the ones that are less environmentally friendly, like the high water use of the almond milk, even the highly water and all of that, even those are much more sustainable overall than cow's milk.
Yeah, that's true.
Of water use. I think cow's milk still outstrips all the plant milks in terms of sustainability or lack of sustainability.
I think you can get all that stuff from that website called The World in Data. That's a really good website to go. I know that Benny Malone uses that a lot. So
Yeah.
So if he uses it a lot, you can't argue with that, folks.
No, you can't argue with that. So
You
yeah,
can't.
that. And also just to say, like you were saying, not all vegans drink almond milk, but also not all people who drink almond milk are vegans. So it's trying to blame vegans for the almond milk, but actually a lot of people who've gone on to plant milks are not actually vegans. They're just people who are, you know, moving away from cow's milk, but not necessarily living vegan. So it's very, again, not very. It's just lazy journalism, really.
Yeah. I mean, Tim Barford from VegFest addressed that, saying that the almond milk market is driven by the health food market, not by vegans. So you know that. So what you're just saying there is right. And of course, the fact is that I know people who boycott almond milk because of this bee thing. Other people say, "Oh, I make sure the almond milk comes from Europe, so it doesn't apply." But I mean, vegans obviously have got a track record of boycotting stuff. So if there's a plant-based product which creates rights violations, we're going to boycott that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a non-argument as far as I can see.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the reason it's in this format, people, is the fact that there was a paywall on it, so we had to be sneaky to get the full text. So I didn't want to use it because
Mike. Oh, sorry, Roger. Carry on.
Well, loads of adverts came up and everything, so I thought I'd transfer it onto a Word document.
I was just showing Michael's comment. Veganism has been well and truly debunked by this well thought out and scientifically accurate article.
Yeah,
well said, Michael.
Absolutely.
I'm not after this. So what's this one? Peru. Oh yeah, the how do you pronounce that? Quinoa, right?
Quinoa.
Is a scourge in Peru where overproduction is called. Yeah. So well, I think that's associated with kind of what I would call food snobs. I think myself, although I'm sure it's in lots of things, but I can't think of anything that I eat that's got that in it, particularly.
Quinoa. But again, it goes back to just what we were saying before about not everyone who's eating quinoa is a vegan, or avocados for that matter. And the lab-grown meat, just in time, Vasily. Oh no, Philip. Sorry, I thought Vasily was there, but Philip's mentioning Vasily, talking about lab-grown meat. Many vegans are opposed to lab-grown meat anyway. So again, bringing that up. What's this one? Philip says Vasily Stanescu has a gold standard paper debunking the Locavora gaffe. Oh, somebody's popular.
Yeah.
Is that you, Nella?
I don't think it's me, anyway. I'm never that popular. Right, so this is an interesting bit now. Now, the first thing to say about that is that this is low down in the article. And everybody knows, who know anything about journalism, that the chances are most people won't read this far, right? Mm. And so essentially, the first thing about morality, most people are not going to get to this, right? And so that's the first thing to say about it. And then, of course, it just collapses into animal welfare as usual. So, as usual, you know, the moral case for veganism is not about, you know, ending the exploitation and oppression of our fellow animals. It's about animal suffering. So it's the Earthling Ed version of veganism, and that's possibly where this Glass person has got that from, because Earthling Ed admits that he likes to reduce veganism down to animal suffering because he feels better arguing that point. You know, it's a kind of the usual thing about a lot of modern day veganism replicates the claims making of the RSPCA, essentially.
Yeah.
So surely it's better to advocate for better farming practice than call for the end.
Yeah.
So this is the Melanie Joy cartel, you know, Earthling Ed, it's Tobias Leonhardt, you know. So again, it's got one line about the morality, the moral case for veganism, and then, you know, that just collapses. Then it's, I mean, what she says after that is ridiculous. And then, of course, you then almost get the childish stuff about, what are we going to do? We're going to let all the cows out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually predicated on this argument that what if the world, the entire world, went vegan overnight?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know as vegans that if that actually happened, it would cause a massive problem. But we also know that that's not going to happen. And so the population of cows who are bred to be exploited will gradually decrease over time. You know, there's not really any other way that you can expect it to happen. And so this bit about, you know, we're going to be overrun by, you know, it's that Henry Salt line, isn't it, from 1921, where he says he can imagine herds of cows running around looking for some kindly person to eat them, you know.
I know. It's Carolyn's saying, clearly the author of this article doesn't support the moral case for veganism. If she did, she wouldn't be spending the entire article arguing against it and denigrating vegans. And that's what Carolyn's so true. And really, if she'd wanted to do a better job in this article, she could have actually taken a little bit more of an impartial stance and explored it differently, couldn't she? She could have gone, okay, well, I do agree with the moral argument. Let me explore. Let me find out what veganism is about morally. And then can I take it from there? Can I look at things from just a different standpoint? But she kind of went in already wanting to denigrate veganism. And then, you know, from that place, there was no exploration. It was all with pure confirmation bias from her own standpoint. So,
yeah, and her standpoint is right wing as well. As we'll see, because it said that at the beginning, but it'll say it at the end as well. So again, you've got this. This is an interesting movement issue that this raises. Will farmers have their livestock forcibly taken away? So ideally, of course, we're going to bring around a cultural shift, or in Watson's words, a kind of, you know, the greatest peaceful revolution ever known, right? And so nobody's going to be forcefully taking livestock away, because nobody's going to want to keep livestock anymore. And essentially what you'd get, you know, some farmers creating sanctuaries out of their former farm with taxpayer help through subsidies. I mean, all farming is based on subsidies. It's never been subject to the free market farming. It's always been outside of the free market. You know, it's always been based on the government bailing them out over and over and over again, no matter what ridiculous thing that they do, or even stockpiling their products that nobody wants. You know, that's why, you remember we used to have, what was it called, milk lakes and you know, beef mountains and all that kind of stuff in the EU. I don't know if you remember that from
yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
sugar mountains and all sorts of weird things as well. But
yeah,
it's
well, that's Cranky Vegan's argument against veganism, you know, because he says that even if you get, you know, the majority of the population to refuse products derived from our fellow animals, the governments will just stockpile it. But they can't do that. They can for a while, but they can't just do it indefinitely. I mean, it would be far too expensive to do that. You know, if the entire produce coming from, you know, flesh farms, the government is going to freeze it and put it somewhere for years. I mean, that can't really happen. So I don't think that's an argument against veganism. supposed to
Yeah.
be, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, very true. And just going back to what she's saying about the chocolate Labrador bear will be able to fend for himself. That's another thing that people often come out with, isn't it? Is like, well, these animals are, you know, they can't fend for themselves. They need humans, and so we have to do the, you know, take care of them, and we have to keep dogs because what they can't look after themselves. And it's again another reminder that sometimes that vegan message is lost, because often in the vegan movement, actually, we don't talk about the situation of so-called pets. We don't really address that very much in the movement, and often we put the pets on a pedestal of, you love these, why not love these? And then we'll compare the dogs with the pigs, which then makes non-vegans feel like veganism is fine with the dog ownership, and that's the ideal, and they were trying to match, you know, just love the pigs like you love the dogs. Well, actually, no, the dogs are not liberated either. They, you know, they're being bred and enslaved, and they don't have autonomy. It's not an ideal situation. Obviously, we're doing our best and we're trying to care for the ones who are here, but it's not an ideal situation. But that doesn't really get addressed much in the movement. That speaks to this here with Bear.
Yeah, it always reminds me of Richard Ryder's thing about this. This sentiment is suggesting that our fellow animals need human superintendents. That's the word he used, superintendents. I always remember that point.
Yeah.
Right, I think we're coming towards the end.
I think we are.
We're not even going to get time to show our video, I don't think, now. Compelling makes the fall of the vegan diet more confusing. Well, it doesn't, because she's talking about vegan junk food. I mean, it just might mean that a lot of people are eating a lot more, I don't know, bananas, rice, and pulses, etc., you know, because there's this kind of weird thing, you know, if you go vegan, you're going to be a junk food vegan, you know. It's not the case. I mean, most people I know have probably got a real kind of balance. Might have a bit of, you know, might have a Linda McCartney pie every now and again. In fact, I noticed in my local supermarket, the Linda McCartney pie always used to say vegetarian on it. It's now got a big vegan sign on it. So going back to, I mean, that's just happened in Ireland, right? I don't know if it's the case where you are, Wendy, but it's got a big vegan sign. Ronnie says it's not the case in Britain, but it certainly isn't in Ireland. So I don't know what brought about that sudden thing, because they've always gone for vegetarian labeling to mean a vegan product. So I don't know what made that change. I ought to write to them and ask them, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out next time I'm hanging around a frozen aisle in the supermarket. But I'm not sure why she says
hang around frozen.
Hang around when it's hot. Go hang around the freezers in the supermarket. But I don't know why she's saying the fact that the moral argument for veganism is so compelling. This doesn't ring true at all, considering the article that she's just written. Apart from, no one wants to see animals suffering. But she hasn't addressed that in any other part of the article, apart from mentioning it that time. But then says it's really compelling, but hasn't even explored the compelling elements of the moral argument, which I find a little bit disappointing, because that would have been more interesting. Although it would have just talked about cruelty and abuse and suffering, I'm sure.
And that last line is just pitiful, juvenile, isn't it? It's not that people don't like animals or vegetables, but they can't stand vegans.
Yeah, and that speaks to the studies, isn't it? Research shows this is quite true. Vegans are quite disliked.
Tofu munchers.
Go, Katie! Go, Katie!
More irritating than cyclists. Are cyclists irritating?
Apparently, people don't like cyclists because they get in the way. That's the.
What's a wild swimmer? Somebody who kind of waves their arms about a lot when they're in the pool.
And maybe they swim in their pleather trousers.
Electric car owners. Okay, Mr. Musk won't like that. And Greta Thunberg. Apparently, talking about mispronunciation,
It's
used
Greta Thunberg. I think.
Thunberg,
Yes.
without the
Thunberg.
H. Yeah.
And
Uh,
the
often-
amount of hate she got lately, I think it should be a topic sociology should, study. Just one woman receiving all these hate comments for actually doing the decent thing.
Well, one thing that's interesting is that I know a lot of people will try to suggest that patriarchy isn't real and it's not a structural problem. But this person actually gets regular threats of sexual assault
Yeah.
because of their political views being out of kilter with presumably these masculine guys, you know.
Yeah, she got really slated for the recent
Gaza
aid
flotilla, yeah.
the flotilla. Yeah. And I think it's because I think there are studies now. Can you remember from some of the? I think it might be it might be Corey and the team's work, this is vegan sociology, or it might be FAIR. But I think they were talking about the do-gooder derogation, weren't they? As people really don't like people who are do-gooders. It's almost like if you have high morals and you're trying to do the right thing, people are really turned off by that quite a lot. Quite extraordinary, so really.
We used to get a lot of that in the 80s. People would come up to the store and go, "You're just a do-gooder," and I said, "What are you, a do-badder?" I mean, it's such a weird. I mean, like a do-gooder as a pejorative. I mean, doing good is surely good.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Why people are annoyed by people who eat tofu cyclists. I think just motorists think that they're in the way. People who swim like in open spaces, lakes and stuff like that. I don't know why they would irritate people unless they just feel like, I don't know, why would that irritate you? I'm not quite sure.
It could be that they're putting the rescue services in danger.
No, I think that they are just describing people that, in their view, are acting outside of the norm. And everyone who is outside of the norm probably irritates the author. I think that's her point.
Mm. Yeah, and then she's saying,
yeah, the
humorless.
one thing that really dates it is this thing about peace-loving, sandal-wearing hippies, which she said earlier on too, the Corbynite, leather sandal-wearing hippies kind of thing. And then you've got this thing about desire for power and social status.
Humorless and militant as well. The militant thing comes out again. That usually gets associated with animal rights activists, doesn't it? The activists and militant, extremists, terrorists, all that stuff, all that language.
Well, it's a good job she wasn't around at the height of the ALF. She'd probably faint. And then you've got the sanctimonious bit. Concert night menu controlled. You see, again, it's one concert. I mean, how long is an Eilish concert? 2.5 hours. Do people have to eat during a concert anyway?
They wouldn't mind if there was not a food at the concert. If it was a foodless concert for whatever reason, they wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
It's
I think
not
you're
about
right.
having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's an interval or something, and everybody dives to the bar and and all that. But
I think it's before and after. Like when you go to the O2, there's usually a support band. So people arrive early, they get some drinks, some food. There's a support band, and then people. It's funny how actually throughout the act that you've probably paid quite a lot of money for the tickets, people are continuously going to the bar for drinks, like missing the whole show just to go and get their drinks and queue and then come back. And then obviously they've got to go to the toilet and get through the crowds and then come back. And it's like people can't go anywhere now without a drink in their hands. Like you see people now going to these, coffee shops and stuff all the time. And I always think, people are not even going to dog walk. I see people on these dog walks and they're always carrying these like cardboard cups around going with their coffee and stuff. And I think, can't even go on a dog walk for an hour, like without a coffee in your hand. It's just, it is a little bit like that now, isn't it? But I think that's just capitalism and marketing and convincing us that we need to be consuming at all times in all situations.
I tell you, I got a question for the audience. Has she got any push? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to learn that, people have been throwing hot dogs or something from the outside vendors, or kind of flesh burgers from the outside vendors onto the stage. You just wouldn't be surprised if that happened, would you? And then you got this thing about she wears leather, eats honey, and rides horses. Is that true? Because we're not.
I'm not actually sure.
We're not talking about a vegan at all, then.
Yeah, which then makes you. But do you see what she called vegans then? Turnips, I think. Pugnacious turnips. Strips torn off her online.
She must have used a thesaurus quite a lot during this writing. But it comes up here as well. Swede-induced madness.
Sweet. Okay. And she's actually got vegan friends. I'm surprised she doesn't have any friends who were vegan after this article.
She's gonna make herself popular with the ABBA fans saying that.
Swede-induced. And then what I don't understand about this is if her vegan friends are explaining about non-vegan wine, silk, mother of pearl, it's an animal product, and all that stuff. If she really is, compelled by the moral argument, why doesn't she take time to just listen to them and actually try to understand and come at it with some empathy? And also, I don't really understand why this highlights this bourgeois trying to be in solidarity with non-humans is bourgeois. What does, I don't understand the connection there.
No, I don't understand this fish skins thing. What does that mean?
I think it's the filtration of wine, isn't it? Sometimes they filter wine through fish filings, I think they call them.
Yeah, I know that, but something
okay.
With fish skins.
She's maybe misunderstood.
She put the wine into something that's made out of the skin of fishes.
I think it's probably to do with that filtration.
Right. But is the findings and all that, is that made out of the skins of fishes, or is it?
No, I think it's made. It's called an insling or something, and it's like fish bladder.
Bladder, yeah. It's not the skin, is it? Maybe somebody in the comment will know.
So Deb's saying another point is the obsession we have with celebrities. So tied with that. And then Emily, this is interesting. So Amelia's saying the bourgeois thing is wrapped up with Marx and Engels, and they sort of started it as part of my latest paper I've been working on. So Amelia has a paper, which will be interesting to hear about that once that's done.
All right. Yeah. Well, I know that Marx did do that thing about his glorious kind of vision of the future would be. You would be a kind of a critic in the morning and a fisherman in the afternoon, and all that kind of stuff, and we'd be able to organize our life in a very kind of pleasant way if we had control of the means of production. So I know that Marx was never particularly vegetarian friendly, I suppose you'd have to say, given the time he was writing. And then you've got this thing about this reference to the left again, which is so weird given what's going on in our movement, where there's so much
Yeah.
pushback to the idea that the movement is left-leaning, which it always traditionally has been. I mean, you know, she's actually said something that makes sense to me now, which is a last line.
Yeah. Because she's actually saying you're a left-wing movement. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's probably the most sensible thing you've said all article.
Did you say arsehole then?
Article.
Oh,
It's the most sensible thing she said in the whole article.
I thought you were getting personal. So
I wouldn't do that.
are
No,
you being
it's-
asked if you're going to go to Luxembourg, Nella?
No, unfortunately, I'm not, because it's summer and we have the wildfires, and everyone is staying here trying to do their best. So it's a very hard time until the end of October or something.
Be careful. It's a bit of a welfare shit show now that the Melanie Joy cartel has taken it over. So, right. Well, I take it we're not going to go for this. Well, it's
No,
only
we
a minute.
did have another thing, didn't we? But
Yeah,
I think
we
we
did,
spent
yeah.
ages on that. That took
We'll have
ages.
to- yeah. So,
But it was interesting that, well, I think it's just we get to see what's out there and realise the arguments against veganism are still the same arguments that they've been coming out with, and all the cliches that they've been coming out with for what seems like forever. Nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. So still the same old shite.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that could be it, couldn't it? Fish, the scales of fishes rather than the skin.
It might be, but and also bladders. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Amy was also saying bladders scale. I'm not. I think I've heard bladders as well.
The red bladder. Right. Okay. Well, ironically, we thought we might be short of material. we haven't even got through what we've got written down, and
We've been rambling.
we've gone 90 minutes. So
Yeah, we've got probably another hour to go, yeah, haven't we, with material?
right. Well,
But thanks, everyone. Thank you for your comments and lovely input, as always. Good to see everyone.
Being here.
Yes, it's been all right, isn't it? Okay, people. Thanks for sticking with us, and we shall see you again. I think the plan is to line one up fairly quickly, isn't it, Nella, Wendy?
Couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of weeks. We should have a guest on the next one. Oh,
Well, a couple
Sorry,
of weeks
this is
for us is instant. So,
don't forget to dye your hair pink, Michael, and wear your pleather trousers.
yeah, and pleather
Drinking your
sandals.
cocktails.
Yeah. Actually, Michael, if you do all that, we want a picture of it, please.
Oh, please. We'll send it to Katie. I think we should all of us on this show now, go and do that and send a picture to Katie.
Oh yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? A group photograph. I mean, we could do that weird thing with the hands, that Nazi sign, whatever it is.
We could just do that. I'd be more.
Right, people, we're going to say goodbye. We'll see you again.
Take care, everyone.